Well, the players have arrived, but it's been nothing but relentless torrential rain in southeast Queensland over the last 24 hours. In fact, it was the opening day of the new Eagle Farm racetrack in Brisbane, a showcase carnival meeting abandoned without a race run. And it may have started in Brisbane, but after soaking the capital city of Queensland, it rolled down to the Gold Coast, and in fact over 250 mils of rain has fallen. Good evening and welcome to Metricon Stadium. Lions legend Alistair Lynch alongside me. Lynchy, I don't think we necessarily enjoy these games. There's nothing pretty. It is just about the hard yards.
That's an absolute slog, a huge test for both teams, in particular the Gold Coast Suns. Their real issue is their contested ball and their clearance work up against the best contested ball team in the competition in the Sydney Swans. So that's where it's going to be won and lost in the middle of the ground, and there's plenty of rain, as you said, falling at the moment. We could get another 50 mils before the start of the game. It's unbelievable.
You're getting some great shots here of everything that has happened in the lead up to this one, and look, it's not just uncomfortable for the players. I suspect it's also a little uncomfortable for the boundary commentators. Barry Hall is joining us tonight. Baz, tell us about those conditions at ground level.
Yeah, thanks, John. Well, it's tough for everyone down here, as you said, but 280 mils in the past 24 hours, and the ground's looking a little bit worse than where. It's started to flood a little bit in the middle of the ground. Now, we've been assured that this ground can take 360 mils per hour. Now, as I said, it's taking a little bit worse than where at the moment, so let's hope it doesn't pour down as we have a look at the radar. And they're tipping in the next hour or so that this will actually blow through and will be past the worst of it. So let's hope that's right, and after quarter time, it starts to drain this ground a little bit. We get a bit better quality of game.
Well, it may in fact blow past us, but it is going to be a very greasy, wet and muddy night for the players. Let's take a look at the changes, the ins and outs, and changes are plenty for the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah, 6 changes, some great ins. Rosa Sexton, Cole Jasny, Miller, Archie and young Jesse Joyce. Local Gold Coast product will get his first chance across half-back flank, and he's been very good in the NEAFL competition. So some great ins on the back of 4 good inclusions last week, with Ablett, Hall, May and Nichols coming into the squad last week.
Nothing as drastic for the Sydney Swans, just one late change.
Yeah, one late change. Callum Mills goes out of the side, so disappointing to see the young superstar rested for the first time this season, and James Rose comes in for his first game this season, his third over the last couple of years and in his career. So interesting to see how James goes. It's been pretty good touch in the NEAFL competition, 11 goals from his 5 games.
Travelling very nicely, the Swans, and the man we just saw on screen, their coach John Long, might be reasonably happy. A short time ago, Barry Hall caught up with him.
Yeah, here with Sydney coach John Longmire. Well, John, it's tough conditions out there, but it almost suits you. You're a tackling side, you're contested, and a stoppage side. So it's, although it's not ideal conditions, it certainly suits you.
Well, we certainly hope so. It's been bucketing down all day and all last night as well, Hawley, and you know, quite unusual conditions. You don't get an opportunity to play in really wet weather like this. We've played in 3 wet games this year, but this is certainly the wettest by far.
And this time of year, a lot of clubs have injuries. Certainly don't have that. Unchanged lineup, very settled.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've made one late change, which is Callum Mills out and James Rose in. So just mainly because of the conditions, are really heavy conditions for a young fella. But it has been pretty settled, which is what we hope obviously continues.
Heath Grundy's been in some really good form, particularly over the past month. Obviously reinside with the club, and he's really rewarding you.
Yeah, he's been terrific. You know, he'll get a big job tonight, obviously, you know, whether it's those 2 key forwards for them, but he's been good so far this year. He's been really consistent. Tommy Mitchell's the other one, real ball magnet. He'll go to who? He'll spend a fair bit of time in the midfield. He'll spend some time on Gary. It'll depend upon what happens in that midfield group as the course of the game goes on. But, you know, he's been really good, particularly over the last 2 weeks.
Good luck.
Thanks, Ollie.
There'll be plenty of eyes tonight on Swan superstar Buddy Franklin. And I guess for mere mortals, once they get around the 50-metre arc, it tends to pull them up as far as goal kicking goes. But even on a heavy night like tonight, I suspect it won't pull up Buddy Franklin. His range is enormous.
Absolutely enormous. And we see this a couple of weeks ago, an absolute huge bomb when it was required from the centre square, and that's gone 66 metres just to really sink the Hawks at a critical time. And you're spot on. Mere mortals, us mere mortals, look to dish it off around the 50-metre arc, but time and time again, he sets himself up for a handball receiver, as we see in this situation, and tees it up. And you would think teams have to be away. Yep. If there's a set shot from 60 out and Buddy's lurking, you've got to pick him up.
Yeah, you'd like to think players have finally woken up to this and they won't give him that sort of freedom. He will punish you, but when it comes to those players that can kick it from outside 50, there are a few of them. They are stars, but Buddy is a long way in front.
He is a long way in front, and he's probably the most unique forward in the competition. The fact that he does get up into the midfield, plays across the wing as well, and see the other stars in the competition predominantly play deep forward, and Gunston, he's got his capabilities from long range. Tom Lynch, who we'll see on display here tonight, and Tex Walker back into some real touch over the last couple of weeks, but he's a beautiful kick for goal, and I think he's a good sign for Adelaide that they're up and going as well.
A lot to like about the form of Tom Mitchell for the Sydney Swans, a young on-baller that really has elevated himself into the elite category, and tonight he chalks up game number 50.
I think it's great what Tom Mitchell has done. I mean, he's actually been at the club, the Sydney Swans, under the father-son rule for 5 years now. Spent plenty of time in the NEAFL competition. They played a dozen games in the NEAFL back in 2014, averaged 31. They made him go back to work on his defensive game. They always knew his capabilities of actually getting the football. His vision is outstanding. In congestion, to put other players into space is fantastic. In the NEAFL, mind you, in 2014, he did have it 63 on one occasion. So we know the offensive's good, and obviously the defensive side of his game's really picked up.
Yeah, making that number 6 his own. I do like, as you said, the lessons they made him learn before they've cut him loose now, and just acknowledged him as just one of the stars of their midfield now. And Barry Hall, I know you'd be aware of what Tom Mitchell is offering. He is in superb form.
Well, you spoke about his defensive role, and 2 weeks ago he went to Sam Mitchell, had 21 himself and cut Sam Mitchell out of the game with 15 disposals. We know how important he is, but he had 41 last week. He was a little bit freer against North Melbourne. He's a ball magnet, we know that, but his defensive role, and he'll probably get a similar role here tonight. It's tough conditions, and he's probably going to go to Gary Ablett, I would suspect. John Longmire, speaking to him pre-game, tipped that one off for us, that Gary Ablett's the man that he'll go to. Very important for them, as was Sam Mitchell for the Hawks. So he's in really good form himself. 17 contested possessions last week against the Eagles and 32 disposals. Highest possession getter on the ground. So 2 ball magnets, boys. Watch them go head to head. I'll be keeping a close eye on that one.
Yeah, that's one of the battles that could be pivotal to the outcome of tonight's match. And he found some form last week, Gary Ablett, didn't he?
He did, and as Baz said, contested ball was certainly the best he's played for the season, with those 17 touches in the middle of the ground, but seemed to have strength over the ball. I think the question mark is his body, or is he confident enough with his body to go in and put his head over the ball that we know he can week in, week out. But this year there's been that question mark, and certainly that was back in force last week.
I think whenever we watch a Gold Coast game, all we want to see is Gary Ablett in his normal great form. It's so exciting to watch. So much of the talk is about Buddy Frank, and it's the second time we're going to talk about him. Everyone wants to postulate whether he can kick 100 goals for the season. Well, I'm not discounting Tom Lynch, man at the other end of the ground tonight from the Coleman medal race. He is in outstanding form, and he is a man mountain himself.
His development over the last 18 months, and I think in particular this year, to play up forward, to be a leader because there's so many injuries, so many of his experienced teammates haven't been there, and through lack of opportunity. Yeah. Every time the ball comes into the forward 50, he presents strong, he works hard defensively and converts his opportunities, and I think Tom Lynch is developing into a fantastic player. And if you think about how little the ball goes inside their forward 50 this season, I mean, they've lost their last 7 games by the last 5 by an average of 87 points. Their forward 50 differential in particular, we see over the course of the season how disappointing it's been since round 4, but since the last 5 weeks, it's averaged 35 down on their opposition. So that's a lot of ball not going inside the forward 50. So I think the job that Tom Lynch is doing at the moment is exceptional.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they're amazing statistics to have that lack of supply, and the fact that he's only 3 goals behind Josh Kennedy from the West Coast Eagles and only 6 behind Buddy, I think makes his effort even more meritorious. He really has been a standout for the Gold Coast Suns. Yeah,
he has been a standout. And I think he's looking forward to, obviously, some of his more experienced players coming back into the side, because what we've seen in the last probably 3 weeks, there's an element of frustration coming in his game. Like, he's presenting really hard, he's presenting the ball, but he's getting frustrated because it's not coming in quickly and direct, and they're losing. So we just don't want him to tip over that edge and give away unnecessary free kicks, and more importantly, don't want to get suspended.
Started so well for Rodney Eade, winning the first 3 matches of the season. He'll be hoping they can find a little bit of form tonight. Barry Hall has been room hopping. He's made his way to the Suns' rooms a little early tonight, and he also caught up with their coach, Rodney Eade.
Yeah, here with Rocket Eade. Well, some really tough conditions out there tonight. You can't hide anywhere tonight.
No, that's right, Barry. It's obviously the rain's going to come more, I think, at about 7:30. So that it's going to be a deluge. So it's going to be a real ice skating rink, but it's got a lot of pools of water. So it's going to test players about their commitment to the contest and commitment staying involved all the time.
And obviously the contested battle in the midfield, they're run really deep there, but you got some good players in there yourself.
Yeah, we have. The last couple of weeks have been pretty good in that area. Obviously got a few young lads and a few lighter bodies, which might be exposing technique at times or maybe experience, but certainly the Swans are very good at that, but we know that, but we're sort of match them in that area.
Conditions won't suit Buddy Franklin, but Stevie May will probably get him, will he?
Yeah, Stephen will play on Buddy, and we expect Buddy to play up the field a bit, which is good for us because Stephen's quite a good attacking player, but there's not only him, but obviously all their midfielders can kick goals as well, so they've got some talent there.
What's the last message before they run out? Just strip it back to basics?
Yeah, and that's what it is. And that's a main message every week, but certainly in the wet conditions, you just got to keep things simple, don't try and invent things, don't try and do anything fancy, and obviously it's just about getting meterage.
Good challenge, good luck.
Thanks, mate, appreciate it.
And we must say a very big thank you to the Gold Coast Suns, because earlier this evening they allowed Barry Hall to sit in their pre-game team meeting. And that's an experience that you don't often get, and particularly with a different coach like a Rodney Eade, someone who's a real thinker of the game. You've got tough conditions tonight. I think this would have been a fantastic experience for Barry Hall to sit through. And Bazza, as we come back to you, tell us a little bit about how the meeting unfolded.
Yeah, well, as you can imagine, we spoke about conditions a hell of a lot pre-game, and why wouldn't you? The meeting was very, very basic, and no matter what level you play, with these conditions, it's got to be basic. So one kick to one handball was certainly the first thing on the board. They don't want to overuse the handball. Yes, they want to kick the ball, but they want to control their kicks as well. Don't kick the lever off the ball. You're only going to kick it 30 or 40 metres in these conditions, so they want to control your kicks. Use them really smartly to your teammates' advantage. And the last thing on the ball was contested possession and the tackling. They think if they can match the Swans in this area, and particularly the tackling, if they can get 90-plus tackles in today's game, they think they can be right in this contest. So 90-plus tackles from the Suns, if they can get that, they're going to be right in it.
Hey, Baz, some coaches write ad nauseum on the whiteboards. I mean, it is literally like war and peace from one end of the whiteboard to the other. What's Rodney Eade like?
As I said, very basic. Not a lot written on the whiteboard. It's all about contested possession. And look, these sound like cliches, and they certainly are, but they're so important, particularly in these conditions. As I said, controlling your kicks. It was more about the contest and attitude of the players to hang in there. We know the Swans are going to be there in the end, are the Suns players. So he really challenged his players pre-game. Can they carry it out? Time will tell.
You are doing a sterling job down there, Baz. The rain's not getting heavier, is it, surely?
It's just steady at the moment, Chase, but as we said, the radar said in an hour's time it's going to ease up, so I'm looking forward to that.
So are we, Baz. Let's hope that it does ease up. We'll take a quick break and have a look at the lineups as the two teams make their way out onto Metricon Stadium in just a moment. The Swans entered round 11 in second position on the ladder, an 8-2 record, and after that shock loss to the Tigers 3 weeks ago, they've had big wins in the last fortnight over the reigning champs Hawthorn, and then they dismantled the ladder leader North Melbourne last week. The conditions won't bother the Sydney Swans. They are tough around the contest, super impressive at the stoppages, and even with that late change, it's still a powerful lineup, Lynchy.
Yeah, it certainly is. Mills goes out of the side. Rose comes in for his first game for the season, his third career game, and that looks a pretty comprehensive outfit. Tom Mitchell plays game 50 for the Sydney Swans, and the superstar at full forward, Buddy Franklin, is in career best form, so looking very good at the moment, the Swans.
Well, the Gold Coast Suns, it's been an interesting year for them so far. They burst out of the blocks. They won their first three before the injury curse returned, and they've now suffered 7 defeats on the trot. But importantly, over last week and this week, they've started to get some players back, starting to get a little bit of football under their belts and hoping to put a better performance on the board.
It has certainly been a very tough period. 7 losses in a row after a 3-0 start for the Gold Coast Suns. They'll be looking to rectify this result against the Sydney Swans. They've never beaten the Sydney Swans. In fact, the closest they've ever come is 35 points. So as you said, Jace, 10 players have come into the side over the last 2 weeks. There's more to come, and they'll be looking for a big contest, especially with a head over the ball in the clearances tonight.
Well, let's take a look at the midfield battle. There's plenty of star power in the middle of the ground. Who do you favour?
I think it's hard to go past any day. Doesn't matter who you're talking about, they're going to play. It's the Sydney Swans. Hanbury, Parker, Kennedy, Mitchell and Kieran Jack, they're all elite players in the competition. Gary Ablett back to his best form last week with 32 touches. Aaron Hall probably not going to be suited in these conditions. We're looking to see Prestio, Richard Telly and young Jesse Lonergan continue on with his good form of 2016.
Any hope for the Gold Coast Suns to pull off a miracle tonight?
It's going to be a massive game, and I think they're really set themselves to put their head over the ball with the Gold Coast Suns. I'm going to tip the Sydney Swans. They haven't got over the Sydney Swans before the Gold Coast Suns, so it's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a great contest.
I'm with you. I can't tip the Suns. No. I have to go with Sydney, but we're hoping for a good one. It is the Suns and the Swans on a very wet night at Metricon Stadium. We've got the first bounce coming up right after the break.
2016 has been a season like no other. It's been unpredictable.
Parrish, they're pick 5! A massive momentum changer in the history of the Essendon Football Club.
Unthinkable.
This wasn't supposed to happen.
Unbelievable.
This is one of the most courageous wins in the history of the Carlton Football Club.
And then there's Eddie.
Fooled them all! Escaped! Eddie Betts! Eddie Betts!
Tonight, Sydney comes to town the red-hot favourite, knocking down every obstacle in their way.
It's a beautiful thing, it really is.
The Suns have been cruelled by injuries, but now, with key personnel returning, who knows? Maybe tonight, this season has another shock in store.
Can the Suns get the job done? It is a very wet Metricon Stadium. It has been bucketing down in the last 24 hours here in Queensland, and Gary Ablett is hoping to lead his men to a victory for the first time against the Sydney Swans. They have never beaten Sydney, and the last 4 have been here at Metricon Stadium. They've lost by an average of 57 points. The Gold Coast hopes, you'd think, would rest on Tom Lynch's shoulders. He's been in sensational form considering the fortunes of his side, sitting 3rd in the race for the Coleman medal. And he's trailing behind that man, Buddy Franklin. Is he on track to kick 100 goals this season? Of course, we know he took a break from the game last year, but he has responded in spectacular form this season.
Not sure either team perhaps can rely on the forwards, though. This is going to be a game of metres. You just get the ball going forward and you try and keep it there. You try and lock it in the forward line as we see the coin toss going on in the middle of the ground. And they're nowhere near the centre circle because that is virtually underwater.
Over 200 mils of water in the last 24 hours. The drainage here at Metricon Stadium is pretty good, but the centre circle just struggling a little bit under the wet weather, and Gary Ablett winning the toss for the Gold Coast.
So on a night like this, Lynchy, you try to kick goals, however, whoever can get on it.
I reckon it's a fantastic challenge, and it's a great challenge for forwards, no doubt about that. And as you said, you've got to hold the ball in. That's the biggest thing that both coaches will want.
Well, the conditions have been a huge talking point. Let's get down to boundary level with Barry Hall.
Yeah, conditions are terrible down here, but all these little nuggety midfielders in and under. Sydney's got a lot of them, but it's really important to kick some goals early for both sides. But we're going to have a look at a bit of a snapshot for the season so far for both sides. And the Gold Coast Suns so far, 3 wins, 7 losses. Look, they've been injury depleted. We know that. But the good news for them is they're fielding their strongest side since round 3. So that's good news for them. And they do like to win at home up here. The first 3 games they did win, 2 of them were at home. And they're going to have to be pretty good at home to get over that mob. The Sydney Swans, 8 wins so far, only the 2 losses, but they've knocked off some real contenders. Hawthorn, we know how many premierships they've won, and the Kangaroos sitting top of the ladder right now. But the most impressive thing from the Swans' point of view, they've had 6 debutants so far this season. Yes, all their good players are playing well. It makes it easier to filter in these young guys. And look at how they're playing this season and the form they've been in. It's quite remarkable that they've had 6 debutants, number 1 in the competition. So the Swans are doing it beautifully at the moment, and they'll need to do it again tonight because the Gold Coast Suns will certainly bring it, boys. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, looking forward to it as well. And the Gold Coast Suns have playing their 37th player for the season, and I think 2 of their stars are out in Swallow and O'Meara. So that's an enormous chew on your list.
Jesse Joyce becoming the 37th player used on debut, but we're underway at a very wet and soggy Metricon Stadium as Prestia gets the first soccer forward. Miller, good handball and a pick up in the wet. Archie out for Prestia, just trying to gain some territory up towards half forward. Laidler out to meet it. McVeigh, Rampy, Mitchell, good chain by the Swans. It's with Jack, and a high kick to half forward. Bouncing ball, May leads Franklin to it. And we'll see a boundary throw in after a bit of a collision.
He had a tough first game back last week, Stephen May, up against the Coleman medal contender and Josh Kennedy at the West Coast Eagles. He had his hands full. There was plenty of ball coming his way. He competed well, but didn't have too many chances to compete with Josh Kennedy. Jones
Puts it on the boot. Inside 50, Sinclair tried to get rid of Brooksby. Off hands.
Yep, that's the man in the other key defensive post, Keegan Brooksby, that will do the job on Sinclair and Tippett when he's forward. So a massive job for that young man.
Certainly not a night, as you mentioned before, for the tall forwards. Rain continuing to team down. It's barely stopped in the last 24 hours. Harbrow tried to lay the butt. McGlynn went in hard. Shoved out the back of the pack. His numbers there. Lloyd just hacks a high kick forward. Rose almost able to take the mark. Fights well at ground level. McGlynn, a chance again. Jack after it. Look at the mud and the water spraying up around the ankles of all the players.
And you mentioned Brooksby playing at the key posts. Rory Thompson played his first game back in the twos with that ankle injury, so he doesn't look too far away as well, which is more good news for the Suns.
Tippett, so good in the ruck this season for the Swans. Have another go at it.
Local boy, Kurt Tippett, originally drafted the Adelaide Crows, obviously, lives just down the road, where his parents do.
May and Harbrow trying to get it out of defence. The Swans pressure good. McVeigh's pick up, sensational. Hanbury, his buddy on that left boot to size up the first of the game. They're going to be tough to kick. That one only just missing.
Heavy ball that still carried 50 and it never got more than about 6 or 7 metres off the ground.
That was a one-iron, just flushed it. I'm sure we saw that kick just a few minutes ago in the pre-game. He is an exciting player.
Tippett in best position and marking in front of Nichols. Allowed a bit of room to send the kick long towards Rowan. Good spoil down there by Brooksby. Fighting underneath the pack. Rowan again. May clearing the ball out. Going to see a lot of that tonight. McVeigh's spoil was good. Smith put his head down. Won the football. Lonergan, good spoil. Archie, good hands. Back to Lonergan. Not much to kick to up the ground though. Grundy going to pump it back towards the 50. May waits underneath it. Slick handball Hanbury, but Archie in the road. Battling one-on-one with Franklin. Cross to help out was Kennedy. Trickled it forward to Hanbury. Now Jack can steady. No one really back on the goal line initially, but Martin able to recover and save the day. May have just been sliding across the face.
Jack Martin has spent a bit of time down back over the last 3 weeks.
Now that's a horrible kick. He's kicked it straight to Gary Rowan.
Well, he's misjudged the weight of the heavy ball. He thought it was a little chip over to the ruckman Nichols, but unfortunately, he never cleared Gary Rowan's head, who actually held the ball very well, given how wet it is.
That's one way to get yourself out of the last line of defence. Just kick it straight to the opposition.
Put his hand up to apologise. Jack Martin after the error. Saw a few turnovers like that from the Suns last week against West Coast. And Rowan takes full advantage of it. And the Swans have got the first in tough conditions at Metricon.
And it's good to see Gary Rowan back in the side for his first game. And it's going to be a tough night for all players. But the fact that he's out there again, got over his injury concerns, and he looks dangerous. He showed some really good signs in that forward half. There's always been that speculation, where is he best suited, whether it's wing across half back. But he's showing plenty in the forward 50 over the last few weeks. So good start for the young man, good start for the Swans.
Well, Gary Rowan with his 5th goal for the season. Goals you'd expect to be a little rare tonight. Certainly valuable when you're able to convert them. Out of the middle, Tippett doing some good work. Martin missed with a kick off the deck. Willis.
Well, you won't want to do too many fancy handballs across your body in these conditions. Sometimes it's just a matter of throwing it on the boot and driving it long.
Old-fashioned stuff, just trying to get it forward. That's what Jack does. Expect he'd love these conditions. Sinclair's handball for McGlynn. Just a little bit too much. Harbrow. Clearing kick to the wing. It bounces over. You expect the umpires to be pretty lenient on the deliberate out of bounds tonight.
I was going to say the same thing, perhaps. So many balls are going to slew off the outside of the boot.
I was surprised if you saw too many paid. You never know. It's Tippett, front position in the ruck again. Mitchell for Hanbury to half forward, and Rose takes the mark. Late inclusion with Mills.
Now, is that
Rested
50?
late.
That's a good decision by the umpire not to pay 50. It was accidental. May was trying to follow his opponent.
Rose into the pocket for Sinclair. Tough one to take on the bounce.
And that's hit him in the face.
Fairly skidded off the turf, didn't it? Ball still inside forward 50 for the Swans. Prestia just escapes towards Laidler, who got a push front on and will get the free kick.
As we did tip, boys, Ablett has gone to Mitchell, so that's going to be a really good matchup. We know both players are ball magnets. We'll keep an eye on the stat sheet with those two.
Yeah, and it looks like Lonergan's following Josh Kennedy, but the entire start of this match has all been at one end.
The Suns barely been forward of centre. Rosa for Prestia, just over the head of Wright. Mark dropped in the end by Grundy. Under a bit of pressure now, the Swans. Rampy, Jones, boundary line.
And the rain's as heavy as it's been all day at the moment. It is just steadily belting down.
And there's no breeze, so it's falling straight down.
Ball spun back in again. Nichols got Tippett out of the road. Spinning tackle there on Jack and holding the ball. So a chance for the Suns to go up to their 50.
And this would be their first forward 50 entry.
Nichols' kick, though, dangerous. Left it a little short for Rosa. He tried to go off the outside of the boot, which was smothered well. Good stuff by Rowan. Back for Rosa, gets another opportunity. Another good tackle by Rosa. Lonergan was at 15.
Barely.
Paid.
Barely. A beautiful pass in the end.
15.1.
It is on a night like this as he sends it to the hot spot. Always a tough one to mark. Glynn, it's a cake of soap down there. McVeigh through the fingertips of Tippett. Time to recover. Sends it out to half-back. On straight towards the boundary line, but Martin will get hands on it first.
So, Lynchy, you've played at both ends of the ground as we're looking at Mitchell and Ablett. There's a little bit of off-the-ball stuff, just trying to help out Gary Ablett. As a defender in these conditions, do you sag a little bit off your opponent knowing he's not going to be marking the ball in his hands?
I think you definitely protect the space behind. You don't want the ball to get behind you, and don't let your opponent turn you inside out so he can get back towards goal. So definitely the back position's the spot.
Kennedy, quick kick forward up towards Franklin. Lloyd roving it and out of play again. You two, obviously, prominent key forwards. What did you used to think when you looked outside the hotel window and saw it was bucketing down like this on the morning of a game?
I'll go with that one. When I used to play on Jace a couple of decades ago, I'd open the curtains, and as a full-back, you think, how good's this? No, it's still going to be a tough day, but no, these conditions are good for the full-back.
Tough day. I never got near it in the wet, Lynchy. I used to roll over and go back to sleep.
Sexton up to the 50 off hands.
I thought you were going to concede. You never got near it on me.
I tell you what, it's interesting, though, as a forward on days like this, sometimes you can go long periods where you don't know how you're actually going to get a possession.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're just not going to take a mark on the lead, and if you've got an opponent on you and the ball's not coming down cleanly, that's taking things a bit far, isn't it?
That mate came very prepared. As the ball is into the forward pocket. Rampy there in defence. Done by Miller. Handball set Archie a task. Miller again. Ablett close. It was off the boot of Mitchell, but we'll have a boundary throwing.
And Archie's been busy in the early stages of this game after having at least one game off with that. I think it was just one game off with that concussion. Came down heavy in the last game they played here at Metricon.
Laidler trying to get it out of the area. May nudged off it. Parker now for Sydney. Back up the wing. Well picked up by Joyce, who kicks the ball inside 50. His first possession. Miller, high kick towards the goal square. Sexton tried to go off the deck, and it is through for a behind. So the first score for the Suns. Rampy brings the ball back into play. Goes wide. And because he played on, that will be a boundary throw-in.
Well, I doubt we're going to talk too much about strategies and tactics tonight. It's just going to be that sort of game. We're going to see some hard slogs, some good one-on-one contests, plenty of numbers around the ball, and just smash kicks forward out of stoppages like that.
Just like Kennedy did then, but Kolajasny was pretty good. Joyce just feeds a handball back. Martin He's under pressure. Wouldn't want to fumble there because there was no one between him and the Swans' goal. Out wide to the wing. Good spoil by Rampy in the end. Got off the ground towards the boundary line. Just stopped in the water on the wing. So hard to keep your feet. McVeigh did pretty well. Now Rampy. Got one, Shepherd, not the second, but he was good enough to get a handball to Cunningham. The kick inside, 50. Parker back with courage. Hanbury had Franklin on. Just couldn't feed the handball forward.
Well done, Harbrow.
Harbrow did really well to get it out to Lonergan. Now Nichols has to put in a run. Beat Tippett to the football, and now back for Rosa. Just goes for distance. Tough one to mark for the forwards. Grundy was in the road. Jones clears it back to the middle of the ground. Jasny tackled.
These are tough conditions.
Set back inside 50. Right, attack the contest. Miller, handball over the top for Lynch. Quick snap towards goal. And we'll have a boundary throw in. Dangerous position, though, for the Suns.
And they're they're contesting extremely well. How's it going down there, Baz? This looks as bad a conditions as we've seen for many years.
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to ease. It's actually got worse, so that's not a good sign. But the Gold Coast Suns, in their pre-meeting, they were going to go for 90-plus tackles. They're at 15 already, 15-6 in their favour. So they're starting to tick that box. They're going to get 90, no doubt.
The tackle count you'd expect to be huge, as there is a good tackle laid and a holding the ball decision one.
Probably too far out.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Lonergan just lays it up, looking for Lynch. McVeigh stood in his road. Rose for Hanbury. Hewitt had his head over the football. He was taken high.
Sydney. Arm over the shoulder. Keep it out.
Hewitt with the free kick for the Swans. Out towards Hanbury, but Ablett in the road.
See what we have seen early with the matchups in Sydney's defence. Grundy's playing on right, and it's Dane Rampy that's playing on Tom Lynch.
Yep.
Now, I've seen Dane Rampy twice already, hands on knees, almost gassed, because Lynch is working him up and down, and I don't know that he's played on a big aerobic beast like a Lynch before.
No, and I think what Tom will be looking to do is work him over, then take him back to the goal square, hopefully, to get him isolated in that one-on-one.
Lynch was up at half forward there, and he's winning the football again inside for Matera. Tackle Laidler. Lonergan trying to find some room. Miller on his knees. Rosa doing some bullocking work underneath. It squeezes out the side of the pack for Archie. Touched off the boot it was, and it'll be a boundary throw in. Deep in attack for the Suns.
And as you'd expect, Tom Lynch, pre-game chatting to him, he was expecting Grundy as his direct opponent.
So was
I think most of us from the outside would think that. So an interesting change.
Is that a change just due to the conditions?
Maybe they're trying to expose Lynch on the rebound with Rampy's run, but
quite possibly. I also think without Ted Richards as well, they like Heath Grundy on the last line.
Here's a chance for Gold Coast. Martin got onto his left boot. It's high. It's a very tough one to mark. Good spoil Laidler. Knocked it down. Desperation from Harbrow.
Took his legs out.
Yeah, that should have been a free kick.
Rosa. Kolajasny. McVeigh's kick. Out of defence for the Swans. The Suns have the numbers.
Oh. I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want to catch the ball in the head tonight either.
Almost like sting.
And a knockout
there for McVeigh. It's going to be pretty heavy, that footy. Very waterlogged. Martin working hard again. And McVeigh, he's done a power of work in the first quarter already.
Yeah, and Hewitt's down. He's coming from the ground now. Got a knock in the head. And so he's just going to take himself off the ground.
McVeigh also just checking himself after copping that knock to the face a few moments ago. As the Swans almost made a clever interchange there, but it rolled just over the line.
It's like a bar of soap at the moment, the footy. And it weighs 10 kegs.
I haven't seen conditions. Remember the year 1989 when it was a really wet winter in Melbourne and the MCG was rolled mud?
Yep.
Similar conditions to this.
Very waterlogged on the Gold Coast as May takes a rare mark.
Which is an interesting point, Lynch, because these players just don't cop these conditions much at all.
And actually, up here, you rarely see it. And Lee Matthews with us, if the rain had come down, he'd just say, well, no point being here. In we go.
Davis, his kick off the side of the boot.
And you'll also notice a really big disparity between the players that can handle the ball cleanly in these conditions and those that just can't.
Marsh sends a high ball up to Franklin. There is a player who can handle the wet conditions, and he sends a bullet-like pass inside 50 to Rowan. That was exceptional stuff from Buddy Franklin on a wet night on the Gold Coast.
It was, and it was great hands by Gary Rowan too. He just parried the ball with his hands and took it at the second grab. And he kicked the first goal absolutely beautifully from just a slightly better angle than this one.
Has the weather conditions changed in the last 10 seconds? That looked like dry weather football with Franklin onto Rowan.
Buddy Franklin normally makes it look pretty easy. And he set up his teammate in Gary Rowan. His first shot at goal was a good one. The second, not so much. Tough night at the office for both of these teams. Hall was right up the middle, off the fingertips and then into the face of Lynch. Riscatelli tackled. Rose almost take it high.
So Dan Hanbury up to 8 possessions already. He's got the most on the ground from Jared McVeigh with 7. Miller, Lonigan, Rosa and Martin all with 6 for the Suns.
Probably would have expected Hanbury's name to be at the top of the list in conditions like this. Ablett goes straight to the boundary line. It won't make it there. Lloyd left it behind. And it's really well done by Joyce, who's done some good things playing his first game, the Gold Coast Academy product. He's got a fair cheer squad in as well, it would seem.
Half the crowd, I think.
It was Gary Ablett's first kick a moment ago.
Ball long back up the wing. Pack flew, but Lonigan waited down out the back. Davis has to sit and wait. He took a good mark. He's trying to go. He's held up well by Smith.
They got the extra back, Sydney.
Yeah, he's got to have a look before he kicks.
Kicked it straight to Rampy.
It's okay to want to move it quickly and long, but if there's one loose player just sitting back, you can't kick it there.
No, that's right. I thought he actually did look. He waited a couple of seconds, but still blazed away.
Rampy sent it straight back to Chi. Riscatelli. Prestia getting involved. Jack. Got to get a handball away quickly. Laidler left it behind. Prestia goes again. Up towards the top of the goal square. Sexton, was he being held on to? He was. He's going to get a free kick.
Oh, this is like gold. A free kick like this directly in front of goal.
And that's what does happen. If you've got a wrestling contest at the top of the goal square, a free kick one way to the forward is a big win.
Got to run straight when you're kicking for goal. You cannot afford to be offline because you won't get the same grip on the ball with your boot.
Alex Sexton back in the side after a broken forearm. Made a quick return. And he's made an impact. He was tight, but he's kicked the goal, and the Suns get their first of the night.
Well, he made the goal umpire work. We can see him. The thing here, it's the arm around against Zach Jones that's cost the free kick. Sexton clever playing in front. That's the key to this sort of play. Get in front and put pressure on your opponent.
You wouldn't mind those back in your day, Jace, but the arm was around. There's Gaz. Gary Ablett head-to-head with Tom Mitchell. 1 disposal for Gaz, 5 for Mitchell.
Gary Ablett working his way into the game, you would expect as it progresses, but the Gold Coast Suns giving a good account of themselves. It's a dangerous effort there from Sinclair. Sliding in. Tough to win. Malcheski had to knock that down. Archie for Matera. Quick kick forward and playing in front, Davis. The Suns to go inside 50 again. He lays it up for Lynch.
Oh, that's an amazing mark.
Great, strong grab.
Clean as a whistle, Lynchy.
And the thing is, it's probably a dry ball because it's come out of the bucket after that Sexton goal. So it's not that wet. It's certainly not heavy, but that is a great grab.
I still reckon it's wet.
It's still moist. Have a look here, Tom Lynch.
Perfect.
Cannot possibly miss, they're saying, with those stats.
If it was dry.
He's third in the pecking order for the Coleman medal at the moment. He's a great contested mark. Can he complete the job? Has it got the legs? It's right to the line. It stays in play. Didn't quite get the distance. McVeigh shovels it to the boundary line.
And that stat sheet will still say 5 and 0-0.
Yep. Still perfect.
no behinds there.
And look, his accuracy was there. Yep. It's just the heavy ball. Couldn't cover the distance.
Must have been a little wet as the ball's tapped down by Sinclair. Parker. Ball back towards the goal line. Always dangerous. Rampy tries to clear it. Wright couldn't pick up on the half volley. Malcheski base of that pack was showing some strength, but couldn't skip clear.
Bit happening behind the play. There's Gary Ablett and Jared McVeigh just getting themselves up. A little roll around, a little play in the mud down the goal square.
Kennedy, kick smothered. Right, good handball for Hall. Quick kick forward again. Off the hands of Archie. Riscatelli shoveled it up to Matera. Again, dangerously back to the hotspot. Miller collected well. Davis hooks the kick over his shoulder for a goal.
Has been a very impressive last 7 minutes. I think the first 7 minutes of the quarter was played the right of screen in the forward half of the Sydney Swans. Of recent times, it's been certainly left of screen, and good to see Davis. He's starting to spend plenty of time on the ground in this Gold Coast Suns team. Former New South Welshman, so he probably grew up following the Sydney Swans after or before going over to the West Coast Eagles. But that is a really handy snap around the body. Great goal. Good start.
Handy snap, and he's been a handy pickup after spending the last 6 years in the waffle. He's come back, and that was his 5th goal for the season. Ryan Davis, as we get a free kick out of the middle, and it's going the Suns' way. They've got a bit of momentum just at the moment.
Yeah, and he knew it was his straight away, Gary Ablett.
Ablett sends it long. Archie caught behind that time. Davis fighting hard again. It's a real mud pit.
I will say this, they're doing
line.
a lot of things right at the moment, the Gold Coast Suns. They're moving the ball direct, they're moving it quick, they're getting lots of numbers to the fall of the ball, and they're putting pressure on the Swans.
And keeping it there. And look at the stats, time in forward half, last 10 minutes, as we thought, 71% Gold Coast.
Ablett taken in a standing tackle by Mitchell. Won't be giving him too much room.
Now, also what you said, Jace, the pressure, they're keeping the ball in their forward half. The Swans have had plenty of touches back there, but haven't been able to get it out.
Here's Ablett. Again, tackled immediately. And again, just a bit going on. Ablett taken to ground. Mitchell there as well. Bit of push and shove between the two teams. Lynch down for Lonergan. Prestia heard the voice. Ablett flecked it on cleverly. Sexton already got one. The finish off the outside of the boot just didn't get there.
Trying to kick it out of the air then to a kung fu kick. Took Miller. This is a really good period for Gold Coast.
And we just see lack of confidence from Laidler. No options, so in the end just bombs away long.
Distance out towards Rowan. Martin showed his elevation. Archie flicked it on again. Bit of stuff from the Suns. And they've won it back again. Davis tackled as he kicked it inside 50. Lynch got a hand to it. Jones had it knocked down by Ablett. Mitchell, handball up to Lonergan. Was he taken high? He was. The Suns first to the football at the moment, and they've won a couple of free kicks inside 50.
This is the huge thing. Contested ball has been a massive issue all year. Sitting 17th in contested possessions, Gold Coast Suns. They're plus 11 in this game so far against the best contested team in the competition.
Lonergan to have the shot at goal to extend the lead for the Suns. They're on their home deck, taking it up to the team that's sitting second, and that's a perfect strike off the boot. Lonergan's kicked the goal.
Barry Hall, how are you seeing it down there?
Well, Rodney Eade challenged the Suns pre-game, mentally and physically. He knows the Swans will be there for 4 quarters. The challenge they had in the past is can they do it for 4 quarters? They're doing it beautifully in the first quarter. Can they continue it for the next 3? So the challenge is there.
Yeah, spot on. Here's the free kick. Jesse Lonergan copping the free kick for the knee in the back from Rose. So I don't think there was any doubt whatsoever that young Jesse was going back for a shot. And Suns coach Rodney Eade, he'd be fairly content, not just with the scoreboard, but just the intent of his players after what has been a really disappointing 2 months.
Yeah, 7 losses in a row for the Suns. They're giving a good account of themselves in the first quarter. Prestia
again
slaps it on.
Just get it going forward.
Miller as well, just gaining territory. Smith, though, this time, able to send it out of defence. McGlynn playing in front of Harbrow.
Yeah.
Cunningham taken high.
Knock on the head. Now they've got space on the far side.
He's got a couple of players breaking for him.
No, Martin's the sweeper here. They can't just blaze away.
Lloyd to Hanbury. High kick inside 50. Brooksby missed with the spoil. Back there is Joyce. Swans arrived trying to hold it up. He wasn't really trying to get that out of there, Harbrow. But on a night like this, it'd be tough to penalise anyone for dragging it in. Nichols down. Kennedy used his strength on Prestia. Prestia went back at ground level.
Geez, Joyce looks like a likely type, doesn't he, lads? He's had a few touches, a few important ones. He doesn't shirk an issue.
Yeah, he's been really impressive in the local competition as well, so deserved his spot.
He was the second last player drafted last year. It was Joyce in the rookie draft. Worked hard to get an opportunity. Here's McVeigh. Towards Franklin. Kennedy was just waiting for it. His kick smothered. Good desperation from the Suns. Here's Rose. Trying to earn one back after giving away a free kick at the other end. Brooksby at the base of the pack. Rose up. Oh, was tackled by 2 or 3. Still trying to go Rose up. And we'll get a ball up.
And good to see Rosa back in the side again. What about the smother for Nichols?
Mitchell got it to Hanbury. A kick off the outside of the boot, up to the hot spot. Miller pulled off his kick. Swans threatening here. Cunningham at the base of the pack.
Important time for the Suns at the moment. They've had a great first quarter. They can't leak a goal now.
Have a look at that, Baz. Big Tom Nichols. He's been in the twos for a while. Got an opportunity with Curry going out with that broken finger. Great smother.
Desperation.
Tippett, Parker, Jack got a boot on it, and Martin can rush that through.
And Jace, you mentioned desperation for Nichols in that smother. That's the very reason he was put back to the twos. Rocket just felt that he was comfortable owning that #1 ruck mantle, and so he's put him back on the twos. Curry's made a pretty good fist of what he's done when he's got in the ones, and so Nichols got an opportunity now and doing really well.
Nichols had 10 tackles last week against the Eagles, so learning to do the tough stuff, but this one set high, back inside 50. The mark juggled once, twice. Jack just couldn't hang on. Martin wants the boundary line. Brooksby got it away to Joyce. Good awareness, he was tripped up.
And that was called by the umpire up in the middle of the ground, as we see Buddy and Stephen May just having a little push and shove. Nothing too much in that. But the umpire in control didn't have a view of that.
Yeah.
Really good decision from the umpire further afield.
Joyce realised his man was slipping over, tried to step back inside, but the legs just trailing as he slid in. A good first quarter from Joyce, as we mentioned. Hall, that one's going to be play on. No one realises it yet, though. Sexton he's got all the time in the world.
It was good play from Sexton, not to panic.
We've had everyone bluffed. And Laidler,
that's a great mark.
Takes a great mark.
One thing you cannot have as a Suns forward is allow intercept marks one-on-one like that. You've got to bring it to ground.
Almost quarter time at Metricon Stadium. And a good quarter for the Gold Coast Suns. Tippett couldn't hang on. Ablett now up for Matera. Will almost do it unless he can get a mark quickly up to the 50. Sexton was there, but Laidler again with a great intercept mark.
He's been in good touch recent times, Jeremy Laidler, the ex-Geelong and Blues defender.
But that is quarter time at Metricon Stadium. The Sydney Swans have a real fight on their hands. The Gold Coast Suns leading by 11 points. Well, you normally find wet and wild on the Gold Coast, and that's exactly what it's been in the first quarter at Metricon Stadium. Tough conditions, water spraying around everywhere as the two teams went at it. A pretty tough contest in the first quarter, but it was the Gold Coast Suns with a heap of players back this week who've taken it right up to the side that sits second on the table.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about what the Gold Coast has offered up in that first term. Super impressed with their contested possessions, the clearances. They've got their nose in front. They've had as much of the game in their forward 50 as have the Sydney Swans, and it's given Rodney Eade something to work with.
Oh, that's right, and this is what you like to see. You're up against the best contested team in the competition, and their ability to get the ball forward, put pressure on the defenders, and that's where Sexton's drawn the free kick from playing in front. And here, again, great snap from Davis around the body. in the second half of that first term, they owned the ball in their forward half, scrapped it forward, and it's great to see from the big ruckman who's back in over the last couple of weeks, Tom Nichols. Fantastic smother.
There is George Hewitt sitting on the bench.
Yeah, it looks like he just took a tablet as well. I think he copped a nasty knock to the head. Let's go down to Barry Hall.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Well, Solly asked you players to compete and tackle, and you have to be thrilled with the start.
Yeah, it is a good start, Baz. I think +7 in contested possession, so that's what we're after. But we know the Swannies will go to the last minute of the day, so it's only 1 quarter down. We've got a long way to go.
What's the message now, just to back that up?
Yeah. No, don't get fancy. Just stay what we're doing. Just be consistent over the ball and just surge it forward.
Good luck.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, Dean Solomon will be very happy, and at one stage they were +11 contested ball, and they were well down in time in forward half early, so they turned the game around, which for a bottom side, when you're behind significantly, not on the scoreboard, but as far as possessions are concerned, you can fall away, but it's great courage to fight back.
He wouldn't have minded tearing in these conditions either, Dean Solomon. There's the metres gained, and a couple of Gold Coast Suns doing very, very well. Jesse Lonigan way out in front, and Dion Prestia doing a superb job.
And there we saw Jesse Lonigan on the bench for this second term.
Just resting up the legs after all those metres gained in the first quarter. We're back underway here at Metricon Stadium. As Rishkatelli win the ball out for the Suns. Laidler to try and get there first. Davis kept his feet, though it was important. Back for Rosa. Davis. Around his body, Ablett attacking it. Rishkatelli goes again towards the 50, right out to meet it. Hall just needed the clean pickup. He was clean in the wet conditions, and he hooks it around his body. That would be a sensational goal. But it's across the face, and the Suns just picking up where they left off.
Picked it up cleanly, didn't he, Aaron Hall?
Yeah.
Beautiful pickup. That's what we were talking about earlier. Those players can handle it cleanly in these conditions, have a huge advantage.
Rampy out of fullback. Big leap by Heaney. Hanbury was clean. To Tippett. Heaney again. Up the wing. Tough one for McGlynn. Both players going to ground. Joyce fighting for it again. Certainly hasn't shirked the issue in his first game.
Next guy, straight up.
No, he's looked very good, very comfortable. Good strong body. Wins his own ball, certainly in the knee full, and suited for these conditions.
18-year-old. Part of the Suns Academy from when it started up. Here's Lloyd getting a kick up towards Sinclair. Malcheski through the fingertips of Brooksby. Heaney with a couple of touches to start this second quarter. Franklin had it for a moment. Now Ablett. Mitchell right there with him again. That's the key midfield battle. Ablett and Mitchell will be keeping an eye on us. Mitchell got a handball that time to Kennedy. Back in to try and win it again. Jack. Quickly up towards McGlynn. Rowan threw himself at the football. Kolajasny left it behind. Now the Swans have some numbers. Handball to Sinclair. The ruckman around his body. He sneaks it inside the post and kicks a great goal.
That's a huge bonus goal. And again, scrappy play to get it forward with a number of scrappy kicks. But the big man just around the body here.
Was there an opportunity to smother Lynchy?
Yeah, let's have a look here. Oh, yes, definitely opportunity to throw the body onto the boot. Good goal, but is that Aaron Hall probably needed to throw his body at the foot of Big Sink.
Not an easy thing to do to smother a kick like that.
No.
You require full commitment, as you said, Lynchy. Just got to toss the body on it.
The Swans with the first of the second quarter. Slippery stuff in the middle of the ground. Ablett just hacks it off the deck towards Lynch. Rampy's got him in a good tackle. Again, Ablett just getting involved. Push and shove around this stoppage. Lynch went third man up. Hall's handball was good to Rosa. High kick towards the hot spot. Right, Grundy standing in the road.
A couple of times, Peter Wright's just got to find a way to make a contest and just get a hand in and bring the ball to ground, even if he's outnumbered.
Rose read it off hands. Malcheski's lunging tackle wasn't enough to stop him. Tippett's kick up to half forward. Cunningham had to wait for it. Willis played it pretty well. Gets it out to Joyce. Good tackle, McGlynn. Willis under pressure. Did he get into the back of Cunningham? Now he's dragged it back in. But it's going to be tough to pay those tonight, Jace.
Yeah, I thought he did really well there. A couple of efforts there just to hold the ball in. And they are getting latitude from the umpires, as you'd expect in these sort of conditions.
It has not stopped raining for about 24 hours here on the Gold Coast, and that one is out of bounds on the full off the boot of Prestia.
I think he had a little bit more time than he thought then.
And Lloyd can send it inside 50 for the Swans. Up high was Sinclair. Oh, Chesky out the back. Dangerous kick straight up the corridor. McVeigh, cool, calm, collected. He steadies. And he's kicked it wide.
That is a let up because they all ran away from him. He straightened up and strolled in directly in front.
And kick in. Stay inside forward 50 for the Swans. Franklin attracted a crowd, but still got a handball away. Jones cleverly chipped the kick up towards Cunningham, but he couldn't mark. Kolajasny couldn't get a handball out. Kennedy has kicked it on the wrong side.
Oh, he's found
and
one.
it's going to land in the lap of Lloyd.
Not the intended
stuff.
target. Not the intended target, but got there. And some, once again, tough stuff by the Sydney Swans to scrap the ball forward. And good work from Buddy Franklin up the field as well.
I'm pretty sure Kennedy was kicking it towards the goals, but it came off the side of the boot.
He's having a shot, no doubt
wobbled
about
its
that.
way to Lloyd. And he's having a sensational season, averaging 24 disposals a game. And that is a great set shot finish. The Swans on the march at the start of the second quarter.
Well, they were a couple of goals down at the first break, and they've fixed that up very, very quickly. And making the most of their opportunities. That's the key. When you get a chance, you've got to take it. And that's the difference between winning and losing these games. It won't be a high-scoring game. And you never know how big the margin's going to be. But we've just seen a great snap from Callum Sinclair and then a terrific set shot from Jake Lloyd.
Third goal of the season for Jake Lloyd. There's Lonergan back on the ground. Going across towards Mitchell. Ablett laying a strong tackle. Let's get down to Barry Hall.
Yeah, we spoke about the tackling stats from the Gold Coast Suns' point of view. It was 15-5 early days, and they were doing it beautifully. The Swans have pegged them back. It's 46-32 right now, and you just sense the Swans are starting to get their game together.
Off the hands there of Parker. Matera did well underneath the pack. Rosa. A wobbly kick up to half forward. Jones did well to spoil Archie, but Archie locked it in. Ton of ball didn't work for him though. Lloyd, who kicked the last goal, up the wing. Sinclair, big bump. Rowan now after it. Joyce is back on his feet after that hit. Heaney sends it forward. Franklin, he's skipped out the back. A lunging effort from May, but it trickles over the goal line for the Swans.
He only just got a toe on that one, did Bud, and good desperate effort from Stephen May. Have a look at this contest from Sinclair. Just crashes through the Suns player on that occasion and splits the pack open. He's done that the last two times he's gone for the ball, which is really what you want from your big forward or your ruckman that's resting forward. But it's probably a bit of a lucky kick and great chase from May, but it wasn't quick enough to put Buddy Franklin off. And his 50th game at the Sydney Swans for Buddy Franklin after 182 with the Hawks.
Average very consistent, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a superstar. It's great to see him back this year and playing such great footy after missing the last portion of last season.
He's got his first on the board, the Coleman medal leader. Kick up to half forward for the Suns. Rischitelli, good handball for Rosa. Need to find an answering one here, Gold Coast. Matera, what a clever trap and snap, but it won't have the legs.
Just didn't get enough on the ball. It looked like it was a goal off the boot.
It did, but once again, Grundy getting back and saving the day.
More often than not, the ball's going to come up just a little bit short on a night like tonight. And Grundy playing that goalkeeper role again. Ball off the hands there. Isaac Heaney going to work his way into the game.
Gee, Stephen May was impressive before. He actually gave a couple of metres start to Buddy Franklin and got a touch on him before he kicked it.
And he's got all the tools to be one of the best defenders in the competition, no doubt about it.
I've seen Franklin burn off a few defenders through his career. Archie, tackle, lost it. Jack to McVeigh, dropped it out the side of the pack. Marsh, a clearing kick away, and it works out well. Rowan is away to the races. with a couple of side steps. Now Franklin May's got him that time.
It got him again. It's on in the middle of the ground.
He's certainly letting him know about it. Couldn't prevent the goal a few moments ago, but he buried him into the turf in the middle of the ground there. Heaney, now for Jack. Off the outside of the boot. Cunningham nudged Harbrow underneath it. Tippett picked it up, controlled it with one hand. Dangerously back towards the hot spot. Matera, though, roving back there. His kick not good.
He's going to go deep.
Parker had some room, and he spotted Rose drifting inside 50. The Suns will be disappointed. They allowed a player to just sneak out the back there. And the late inclusion tonight, Callum Mills rested for this game late. And James Rose in for his first game of the season. A chance to kick his first goal of the year.
It's just a touch of class, isn't it? Luke Parker, he summed up the situation so quickly and off a couple of steps, drilled the ball in.
Kicked 3 goals on debut in round 21 last year, did James Rose. So he knows where the goals are, and he splits the middle there.
And he's looked pretty impressive for his 5 touches and 1 goal so far in the game. He's averages just over 2 goals a game this season in the local competition. And here's the tackle from Stephen May on Bud. I think Buddy, after this, knows that he's not going to get too much time and space on Stephen May. And that is really good work. As you said, Jace, great identification from Parker to know where the dangerous space was and know where Rose was running. Great work.
As we can see, boys, Hewitt all track suited up. Looks like he's done for the day. He copped that big hit in the first quarter, so that's bad news for the Swans.
Hewitt there just sitting behind the trainer with that jumper on. There might be one down the Swans. Mitchell out of the middle, trying to get it to Parker. Davis, who's been busy in the game, gets it forward. Lynch going hard at the football. Off the deck, Grundy. That was dangerous because Lonergan's picked it up. Couldn't skip clear of Parker. Sinclair now. Right, left it behind. Miller, though, got it to Malcheski. His quick kick forward. Smith had to wait in the hole. Lynch came hard. Still a chance, the Suns.
See those last couple of contests, Tom Lynch has made a decision to get there at all costs, and if there's people in the way, he goes straight through them. That's what they need Peter Wright to do when the ball's in the air.
Pressed his kick, not 15. Sexton wants to claim the mark. Not paid. Rischitelli. You get a push in the back. All in the forward pocket for Gold Coast. So many players around, it won't spill out.
We might get a record play on calls tonight.
Yeah, that's right. You're right with Peter Wright, and whether it's Grundy or Laidler, with his size, I'd actually go over and engage the defender and try to lock him down and just make that big presence.
But he's big enough to crash them all, just the way Tom Lynch does. He's got a great mentor playing right alongside him, Peter Wright. And he should just look at everything Tom Lynch does and says, good enough for him, good enough for me.
Ball thrown up deep into attack for the Suns. Sydney's defence trying to clear it away again. Malcheski off his hands. Kolajasny at the base of the pack, fed it out. Brooksby away to Martin, closed down before he could get a kick away. Rowan keeps it moving forward. Franklin, Mitchell, that was a quick handball. Lightning quick for Rose. And now the race is on. Who's got the speed? Harbrow leads McGlynn to the football.
Good option.
And he cleverly just chips it around and goes off the deck a second time.
Don't pay that deliberate.
That'll be deliberate.
He's gone straight to the boundary line, and it is deliberate.
But even though it is, it's still brilliant play from Harbrow to clear the area. Kept his feet. Great option.
It was quick thinking and clever thinking by Jared Harbrow.
And just bought the time for all his teammates to get back.
And Miller able to take the mark.
On that, are you happy with that decision? Because I don't think it was deliberately out of bounds.
No, but they don't. It's not really about deliberate out of bounds now. It's how much effort have you made to keep the ball in.
Swans forward again, up for Franklin, just short. May right there with him, and he got just enough of a boot on it to knock it away. Now Hall, not much up ahead.
That's
kick lets him down.
Horrible kick.
Rampy try to get it to Sinclair. Still going the ruckman. Laidler sends it out wide, and McGlynn takes the mark. Chips it now for the run of Hanbury. Doesn't break stride. Feeds it over the top to Rose. Already kicked a goal in this term. About to be closed down. Martin had to leave his man. Rose got the handball back. Hanbury now for Franklin. Want to get on the left. And the kick smothered. Kolajasny back for Martin. Well done by Rose to charge that one down. Rowan to Parker. He dribbles it straight to the post, but just got it around. down. Clever stuff from Luke Parker from the pocket.
That is a beautifully executed dribble kick there, Jace.
How did that miss the padding?
Well,
we were right behind that kick.
It just, well,
it kept skidding away from
with the wet weather, it skidded and stayed pretty much straight, and may have even gone a little bit left to right against the spin. And that has stayed away from the padding by millimetres. That's great. There's Big Bud goes in hard. Great smother. I think it was Rose. And look at the finish here from the superstar midfielder.
Oh.
One in, face down. Out this way.
Luke Parker bending the ball beautifully around the goalpost. And the Swans are out by 19.
There's 5 goals in quick time, isn't it, in the second term?
Been a big turnaround. Gold Coast need an answer. Davis sends it up towards Sexton. Drags it in, opposed to Rampy. Lonergan at the base of the pack.
Gee, I like Ryan Davis's ability to get a quick kick in and just get the ball going forward as we look at some of the numbers from the second term. Doing very well, Sydney. They've lifted their work rate. They've upped the tempo.
Miller went off the deck. Mitchell underneath got a handball to Kennedy, to Hanbury. Parker couldn't mark. Harbrow was clean, got it to Joyce, just chipped his kick short to Matera, who keeps it moving forward. Lynch in front, desperation from Rampy. It was Grundy, in fact, who got the spoil. Played it really well, but it's going to come back in because Wright's got the footy. Just goes for distance again. Lynch the target. Tip it too tall there. Davis pulled off his kick well by Kennedy. Good tackle. Heaney now wrapped up by Prestia.
We spoke about the Swans lifting, and the man that's taken charge is Dan Hanbury. 16 possessions, leading possession getter on the ground at this stage. He just racks them up, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're his conditions, you would have thought.
Rose up. Call to keep going. Prestia goes back in on it.
Have a look at Dan Hanbury's night. 15 disposals, 11 handballs, 5 contested possessions. He's a star.
Sneaks up on you sometimes, doesn't he?
Yeah, obviously tonight he's done a lot of his work in tight.
Here's Sexton creating some room. Handball forward for Rosa. The snap is across the face of the goals.
Jesse, 5 metres here.
Desperately need a goal just to stay in touch on the scoreboard, the Suns.
Thanks.
It's been a bit of finishing class that's opened up the game for the Sydney Swans.
And probably similar trend to the first term where the Suns owned the ball early.
Good spoil right. Knocked it straight back to Davis. Up now for Lynch. Rosa arriving late. Laidler got a handball back. Rampy's kick. It'll land with Malcheski.
Now this is a tough kick for the left footer.
Yep. A former Sydney Swan. Former Swans premiership player.
That's your line, you're fine.
He was a hero kicking the sealer.
On this angle.
Has he got the boomerang on the left with the wet ball, Jason?
Carry that far would be nigh on impossible. He struggled with a drop punt.
His kicking hasn't been great since moving up to the Suns. But this one, from the pocket, would take his best effort. Not going to get there. Off hands. Ablett into the post.
Great positioning from Gaz. Ball snuck over the top. Good contest from Big Peter Wright. Threw himself at the ball. Just slipped it through the hands.
Laidler out of fullback again. Martin with a big leap.
Big leap, but he forgot about the ball, perhaps.
Tough to take those on a night like tonight.
It almost went straight through without touching it.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there was a glove on it at all.
It looked good, the leap.
He got some elevation.
Have a look, here it is. Big jump over the top of Heaney. No claw on that one at all.
Didn't really make much contact with Heaney in the end. He almost jumped straight past him. Kennedy trying to work it out of there. Again, good hands, Mitchell under the pack. Hanbury, though, heading in the wrong direction. Sexton went off the deck. Good tackle, Ablett on Jones.
Yeah, good technique. Good technique. He turned him as he rolled with him so that he didn't get into his back.
The Swans started the first quarter well, but then the Suns hit back. Swans have started the second quarter well. Can Gold Coast find some momentum heading into half-time? Sydney have looked much stronger in this term. Prestia. His kick smothered partially. After it, Matera relays a tackle. Suns players asking the question, but pretty much ask all night tonight, those aren't going to be paid.
There are players trying to invent some of the most miraculous kicks you've ever seen out of mid-air before they even take possession.
Like that.
And again from Matera.
On cue. Sexton couldn't hang on to it. You can't really blame him. Jack up the wing. Franklin trying to get May out of the way. It stays in play, and well, tunnel ball back. That time by Martin to Harbrow. They gained an extra 30 metres up the boundary line that time, the Suns.
That Stephen May-Franklin contest is a ripper. And we said May came back into the side, had a tough night against Josh Kennedy, but that was more the quality of the ball going to Kennedy. He competed extremely well, and he's doing exactly the same tonight.
North Ruckman missing it. Rosa. Hackett forward up towards Lynch. Grundy right there with him. Smith one way, Lonergan the other. Good contest, Lonergan. Carried a little forward by Rampy. Riscatelli got it out of there. Unguarded goal square. Lynch working hard back towards goal, and he's marked it in the square.
And hit the fence.
Should be 50 as well.
That is, read the ball beautifully. Knew that Riscatelli was either going to kick the goal, was going to drop close to the line, and just took off.
Chesky coming in, having a go at Grundy, but the 50 would only be a 1.5 metre penalty because he's 1.5 metres out. Good work rate. He just works so hard, doesn't he?
He's built up over the last handful of years, been in the system as well. Big man.
I think 11 back in 2010. And here he is kicking his first goal of the night. Tom Lynch in his 35th for the season.
First goal for the Suns in the second term, one that they desperately needed, given that the Swans had whacked on 5 in quick succession in the first half of this second term, but they have had the ball down there the last 5 minutes or so. So that's that sustained pressure that they fought back with in the second term. A terrific mark. You just see Grundy tackling into the ground afterwards. They both slide into the fence, but no harm coming from that.
Let's have a look at the leading tacklers on the ground, and Gary Ablett just one behind Isaac Heaney with 7. Ablett with 6, backing up after his very good game last week in the West.
Here's Heaney.
Oh, he dropped that.
It was a good tackle by Nichols. He's getting involved with the hard stuff. Hanbury for Mitchell. Again, another clever handball, that time to Kennedy. Call to play on. Suns at half back. Kolajasny just about threw that one away. Willis went over the top of Hanbury.
And we haven't seen a lot of that one paid actually this year, this week in these wet conditions. Been a number of players sliding into the legs.
It's particularly prevalent on a night like tonight where there are players sliding everywhere.
Yep.
Willis getting the free kick that time. Suns up the wing again. Tough one to mark. Lynch made the contest. Ablett pushed off one. Made some room and got it to Prestia. Now the long kick up towards Lonergan. One-on-one with Rampy. Rampy did pretty well. Grundy there as well. Sensational pick up Archie. Fed it over the top back for Lonergan. Running out of room, the Suns. Rose up. Hooked it back. Grundy couldn't really clear it, but it falls for Jack. And straight off the interchange bench is Harbrow. And he says, thanks very much. He'll send it long. Back up to the 50. Lynch slipped over. Jones under pressure. Not 15 for Archie, so he had to keep going. Riscatelli the outside of the boot. And this time it's Rampy who's waiting back on the goal line.
They love having that goalkeeper, don't they, the Sydney Swans?
And Rampy does it extremely well, as Grundy does.
Good kick out of defence, normally Rampy as well. That was good to Rose. And he made it tough for Cunningham. Up the wing. McGlynn couldn't trap it. Hall and Brooksby.
Yeah, got numbers in the middle of the ground here.
Now Miller. He's going to go long. Up towards Lynch. He's got 3 to beat. But no one waiting down for the Suns except for Sexton, who arrived late. Mitchell. Kennedy. Cleared out again. After all the momentum from Sydney early, Gold Coast have had a good couple of minutes. Harbrow. Was that for a spin out of a tackle? Miller. Back up to the 50 and a good mark taken by Tippett.
Yeah, good mark once again. Just dropping behind the ball. Kurt Tippett probably playing his best year of AFL football this year.
Assume the #1 ruck role for the Swans. He's had a real impact in 2016 as Kurt Tippett, as Cunningham Sends this one up to the 50. McGlynn needs it to sit for him. Tight on the pocket. This would be a miracle effort, but just to the wrong side of the post.
Just nicked the post, I think. Yeah, just nicked the padding as it bounced through of the near goal post for Ben McGlynn. Have a look at this. Just hits it. Very close.
Saw Parker kick a clever goal from the other pocket at that end in this quarter. McGlynn pretty much would have rivaled it. And ball out of play again. Ablett and Mitchell.
So Tom Mitchell's on 10 possessions. Gary Ablett is on 7. That's in this second quarter. So he was just on top in the first term, Mitchell. So he's still got his nose in front overall.
Ball spun back in. Nichols tried to slap it forward. Ablett at the base of the pack. Well done by Jack to Parker. Kick actually went backwards from where he was intending. Not paid for Marsh.
Good tackle again from Davis. As you said, he's got some good game awareness. You know, played about 8 years of senior football now in the AFL and WAFL after coming out of North Sydney or North Shore Bombers.
There's no such thing as incorrect disposal tonight. As long as the ball comes out, it is play. Oh, good attack. That's what he's got to do. Just attack the ball.
Did well to hang on to that.
It might have even surprised him that it was still in the arms, but he did very well. Big Peter Wright.
Right. Goes up to half forward. Marsh just got fingertips on that to stop the lead. And boundary throw in. Just under 3 minutes remaining in the half. Ablett having a rest on the bench. Suns would love another one just before halftime. It's the Swans by 12 points. Lloyd did well to chip it up that time to Cunningham, and a good tackle, Malcheski. Willis shovels a handball wide. Prestia now for Kolajasny. High one, tough one to mark for Hall. Jones did well to spoil. Rampy poked it to the boundary line the first time. He does keep it in. And Jones
ducked the head into the tackle.
Yeah, he thought he was tackled over. Didn't really dispose of it, but the Suns have got it back. Hall squeezes a kick inside 50, off hands, right, snap towards goal, and the goalkeeper back there again.
Well,
He's always there.
They're going to put him in a yellow shirt and gloves soon because they've got one there every time in the square.
That time it was Rowan. Off the hands that time of Marsh. Lonergan keeping it alive. The ball just stopped in the water and stayed alive for the Suns. They'll get another ball inside 50, right the target. Couldn't get a fingertip to it. And Rowan again playing loose down in defence.
They can run out by hands here.
Kennedy.
That's an ordinary old handball.
Threw the man to him, but Hanbury had to backtrack to retrieve it. Ball up the wing. Joyce couldn't take it. Kolajasny almost run down. May.
That's a really good kick.
It was for Matera. They can try and set them up again. Kick to half forward, Jones. Good spoil away from Malcheski.
Yeah, I got a stat that not even you would have come up with, Lynchy. Since Champion Data have started recording tackles, Sydney's most ever tackles in a first half was 60. Right now they're on 70. They have smashed that record out of the water. A lot of that to do with the conditions, but they have set a new benchmark for themselves.
Already a record-breaking night. As Rose up, packs it off the deck, up towards right. Sexton couldn't skip clear. Good tackle, but he goes again. All now wrapped up.
I know Sydney are doing a lot right, boys, but a player they're not going anywhere near is Matty Rosa. He's had 21 disposals so far. He's just too smart a player to let go free.
His first game back after a few weeks on the sidelines with an injury.
A hamstring keeping him sidelined. Hasn't had a clean run at it in his short career at the Suns. Miller, Rischitelli sold the dummy a couple of times. The Swans weren't buying it. That kick was touched off the boot. Rosa back in, trying to win another possession. Denied that time by a good tackle by Cunningham.
And Rosa, one of 3 former West Coast players out there on the ground. Chief will just work through that one over the next few seconds.
Ryan Davis, one of the other ones.
Yeah. Sinclair.
Ball up the wing. At Franklin. Toe pokes that one away from May. Now it's going to stay in play. There's no one between he and the goals. It's a long kick of the football. Surely he couldn't from here. He keeps it low. He skids it. The foot races on. McGlynn getting back. Harbour out. Toe pokes it through. There was enough pressure there. It wasn't a deliberate rush behind, according to the umpire, and the behind will stand.
Well, there was an appeal from Ben McGlynn.
Yep.
And no doubt it was deliberate, but the umpire felt there was enough pressure on the ball carrier or the kicker.
Harbour out dangerously in from full-back. McGlynn just about charged it down. Rose up. Another possession. May around his body. Davis sliding in. Well done by Kennedy. To Jack. Late chance here for the Swans. Sinclair up tall. McGlynn was there, but time beats them. So the Sydney Swans certainly stamping their authority on the contest in that second quarter. They trailed by 11 points at quarter time. They now lead it by 13.
And we spoke about it at quarter time, and the Suns were very impressed with their ability to win the contested ball, and they've extended that lead. They're +9 at half-time, contested possessions up against the best team in the competition in that facet of the game. So they'd be really pleased. They're just slipped off the pace as far as goals are concerned, but they're very much in this contest. They're a super team, the Sydney Swans, so they'll be looking to consolidate this half-time break. Barry Hall's down with one of the stars of the Sydney Swans.
Yeah, here with Dan Hanbury, and after a pretty tough first quarter, you started to get your game going. Your tackling game was excellent in that second quarter.
Yeah, we needed to lift with -10 or 15 to contest the ball, and they kicked a couple of goals. So around the contest, and a bit smarter with the conditions. We weren't playing to the conditions, and we improved that. We still weren't great, but we got in front, which is important.
So that's a message at quarter time, just to lift everywhere.
Yeah, you've got to lift everywhere. Make sure we play with the footy. I think we're going one-to-one handball kick. So play smarter in the conditions.
Good luck.
Thanks, mate.
Barry Hall there with Dan Hanbury. It was a good second quarter for the Sydney Swans. They lead it by 13 points.